This is the Cash Value Solutions Podcast, where your hosts, Jason Pohlmeyer and Kyle Mann, shed light on little-known money truths to help you take control of your financial future and become your own banker. Subscribe, rate, and review the show, and check us out at cashvaluesolutions.com.
Okay, Kyle, we're continuing on this book review of Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Where are we going to be working today?
Well, today we're going to go through his section on imagination and the grocery store. So to start off, we'll start talking about the imagination section. And at the beginning of this, Nelson quoted Albert Einstein. He said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And after that, Nelson says that the infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, reason, logic, and prophecy.
Why do you think Nelson led with these words in imagination?
Well, with the infinite banking concept, it being a concept, it is only limited to your imagination. You know, you can use this for all different sorts of things. And the more imaginative you are, the more IBC can do for you. Isn't
it, too? I think, at least when I was starting to understand this subject completely, that it was something that if you don't apply imagination to what the infinite banking concept is, it isn't an object that I can put in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to use your mind and think and imagine what's possible with this.
Yeah, it's not just like a stock that you can just, buy for whatever the price is. And yeah, this is just something that you pretty much kind of create.
It kind of goes back to the whole thing that infinite banking isn't whole life insurance, right? Whole life insurance is a product, and yeah, we can put numbers on a page and show that to you, right? But we can't capture the infinite banking concept with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let's move on here. Nelson gives an example here, and this is kind of interesting, and we'll try to hit on this fast and then get on to the grocery store because there's some great information in there. But Nelson tells the story of a German schoolmaster whose kids were being rowdy. Imagine that, right? He needs to keep them busy, so he assigns them work. Now, when he assigns them work, he says, add up the numbers 1 through 100. So that's going to take us quite a while to do that. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? Well, one kid is sitting in the room staring out the window while everybody else is working. And he puts down a number on the page. And it turns out that he has the right answer. How did he do it? He imagined the numbers 1 through 100 on a line from left to right. Now, if you split that line in the middle between 50 and 51, and you fold the 100 over onto the number 1, and then you have 99 over 2, 98 over 3, and so on, right? Every pair adds up to 101, and there's 50 pairs. So all he had to do was multiply 101 times 50 for the answer, 5,050. Pretty creative, wasn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, yes, it was.
But what he was doing was using his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that it was. And Nelson's just trying to stimulate your mind, guys. Hey, use your imagination. Don't just think of this as a product. And you're going to open up your mind to some pretty great things that this can do for you.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of go back a little bit. So talking about how this is, based on imagination and it's not whole life insurance, like that's not the forefront of it. Like, do you think maybe that's why Dave Ramsey and others have a negative connotation of IBC because they just don't get IBC and they just see, whole life insurance bad?
Definitely. I think anytime the financial talking heads, so to speak, hear the words whole life insurance, that anything else is just automatically discounted as that can't be true, right? I think no more needs to be said about that.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was how Nelson led off with imagination. So let's jump into the grocery store now. Now, when you first read this book, you might think that this section doesn't seem like it's in place. Why did he pick this? Why did he pick a grocery store, Kyle?
Well, he picked it because, one, we can relate to it. We've all been to grocery stores. We use them frequently. The other reason is because in a grocery store, if you're the owner of it, you are both the consumer and the seller. So that also relates to IBC. So we are the consumer and the owner of our policy.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of thought that went into picking the grocery store business. And if you guys didn't pick up on that, that's why. Because it's relatable. We're a consumer. And in this example, we're the seller of groceries. So he's just trying to relate this to something that people can understand with the banking business, what we're trying to create. So what does it take to establish a grocery business, Kyle? What are the steps that are going to be involved?
Well, the steps that are involved is, well, one, we need a place. We need real estate for this. We need a good location for it.
But before that, do you think that we need
capital?
We need capital, but we probably have to study the business even too.
Yeah, you have to know what it is. You have to know what you're doing and what it is.
Yeah, if you guys are trying to get started with IBC or investigating it, I bet that you've spent some time studying before you've paid premium. So
yeah,
the very first step, you have to study the business. And for everybody, that's going to take a different amount of time. Like Kyle and I said, we spent 7 months investigating IBC before we paid our first premiums. And so that's kind of what the first step is all about with the grocery store business. But then go ahead, Kyle. You brought up the next points too.
Yeah, so we need to find the location. We need to either build the building there or, redo the building, make it attractive, redo the inside, make that attractive for customers to come in. We need to stock the shelves. We need to hire employees. We need to...
And what do customers want when they come to a store? Maybe this isn't the perfect example, but what is Amazon? To me, it's convenience.
Yes.
You get on your computer and you have everything at the touch of a fingertip, and a lot of times 2-day shipping on a lot of things.
Yep.
So keeping that in mind with the grocery business, you need to make it convenient for people to get in and out of there. So that's going to require some thought in how you set up the inside of the business and keeping everything stocked so the customers can grab what they want and get out, and it's really convenient for them.
Mm-hmm. And the whole purpose of getting into business is so that you can provide an income for yourself and your family to live on. And eventually you're going to want to sell that so you can live off of during the passive income phase of your life.
Right. So can we talk about what it takes to make the grocery store profitable, as Nelson did? Nelson talks about a can of peas. This is another one of Nelson's 5 principles. Don't steal the peas. He's talking about don't use your IBC policy and not pay yourself back with interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because what are we doing? We're killing the best business that we could ever be in business of doing by doing that. Okay? So Nelson uses the example of a can of peas. And in it, he says the store sells the can of peas for 60 cents and they can buy it wholesale for 57 cents. So going out the front door, that's to the customers, that's 60 cents, and the back door is 57 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Nelson says if you turn this item 15 times, you can break even. Well, my goodness, doesn't that seem like we've sold a lot of can of peas and not even made any money now, Kyle?
Yes, absolutely.
Think about everything that went into starting this business, though. Think of all your time, for one. You have the land, building, signs, advertising. You have employees to pay for, maybe benefits for them. It costs money to keep the lights on. You might have created an LLC when you got into this business.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to keep track of the profit and loss, the P&L statement, right?
Yep.
What does that take? Accounting, right? There's just so many things that go into running a business, and it takes, as Nelson says later, a lot of buildup before you actually see the results of what you've been doing.
Yeah, and he talks about how, like, if your family, where's your family going to shop at? Are they going to shop at the other grocery store down the street, or are they going to come to your store? Well, obviously, they're going to come to your store. And
your captive customer.
Yes, exactly.
Just like with your IBC policy.
Yep. And you know what some people want to do, we all know people like these who have owned stores, is they want to take it out the back. They want to either take it for the wholesale price, 57 cents, or most of them would like to take it out the back for nothing. You know, oh, we own this. My family owns this. I know this guy. You know, let's just take it out the back and not pay for it.
No, to quote Nelson in his book, he said, "This is our business and we can do anything we want to." And he's talking about going out the back door, not paying interest to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he goes on to make the point, if your wife or husband, we aren't holding anything against anybody here. Everybody can do the shopping. If your wife or your husband goes out the door with 1 can of peas, out the back door I'm talking now, how many cans of peas do we have to sell to make up for that 1 can? It's 20 cans of peas, guys.
Yeah.
It's devastating to the business. And if you continue this practice, it's going to lead to failure.
Mm-hmm.
He also goes on to say what employees are going to do after this. What's that, Kyle?
Yeah. So he says, you know, do you think the employees don't see this? So why wouldn't they start stealing if they see that the owners or the family of the owners is doing it? Well, why wouldn't they start doing it?
Everybody's going to see your behavior. And I mean, I think we could even, to dig a little deeper here, I think we could even look at this as like, you know, if you guys practice what Nelson teaches with the infinite banking concept and that behavior, you could pass that on to your kids and even make them successful at the IBC policy. I mean, just human behavior is going to be followed by those who see it. So the more honest that you can be in the grocery business or in the banking business, I think that that's beneficial to not only you and your family today, but your kids in the future.
Yeah. And if they can master this discipline, it's not only going to benefit them in the financial world either. I mean, think of everything else, their careers and relationships and so forth.
Absolutely. And two, think about, so you're teaching your kids this. Okay, so that's in the future, but what about right now? Right now, if we practice these principles, Nelson goes on to say how we're captive customers. We should pay more actually for that can of peas. We should pay 62 cents. Okay, he's really instilling in us how you should treat your banking system, okay? Mm-hmm. You're a captive customer, so why not put more capital into your system? Because you own it and control it anyways, right?
Yep.
That's just going to make the bottom line of the business look better. And when you guys want to sell, that business, when you're ready to slow down and take some passive income, it's going to bring up the price of the business.
Yep.
So,
and he also states in there how some people could justify their leaving out the back door with the peas as, oh, well, the more we make, the more the IRS takes.
Good point.
So, and he's like, well, what if you can eliminate what the IRS takes on your gains?
Right. Isn't the cash value taxed on a deferred basis with the cash surrender value of your life insurance policy is treated as a deferred tax, but we have access to it tax-free.
Yes. And as long as the policy is set up correctly and then we use it in the correct way, yes.
Right. So I think he's just even making another further point as to later in the book why this makes so much sense to use an IBC policy to perform the banking function in your life.
Yeah, like, you know, we should all go back and read this more. The first time I read this, you know, I did not pick up how in depth he actually went in this. Like, you just kind of gloss over it first, but man, it is just so true and just is so close to what your IBC policy is and how you should treat that. And
definitely. And I want to say too that the insurance company does not require you to pay extra interest to a policy loan. But what Nelson is saying is, if you're paying extra interest, it's just like an extra PUA payment. It's more capital into your system. So your system's just going to become even bigger by doing that. So what can it hurt to put more capital into your system to have more access to more money in the future?
Yeah, and this is a place sometimes where people can not fully understand, and they think that, oh, this means that I can just keep all this extra interest. I can just keep putting it into my policy. And, you know, there's a limit. And once we fill up our policies, then, hey, maybe we can start another policy with the extra cash flow. And it's also important to realize that the interest that we're paying on our policy does go to the insurance company. This extra interest that is talked about, that is just going towards the loan balance and paying that loan balance off faster. Or if we decide to start a new policy, it's going to that new policy.
Right. Or we could even tell the insurance company that we want to direct some of this payment toward an extra PUA payment too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's options of how you can use these policies. And I'm glad you brought up that it's important to realize interest is not being paid to ourselves. It's being paid to the insurance company. But we just collateralized our cash value. So our money is still growing uninterrupted, even though we have this collateral assignment against it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that we've hit on a lot of the big key points. I hope that this is really helped you guys to see like, whoa, he really did pick this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very relatable to how a banking business should be run, not only in profitability and how you should treat the system, but even establishing the system. You know, it takes research to get into this business. Then you got to find somebody you want to work with, somebody you want to work with. And then after you find somebody you want to work with and you understand the IBC, then, we find insurance companies that are a good fit for you. That should not be the first criteria that we're talking about, though. But that is further down the line, right?
It also comes back to do not be afraid to capitalize, because to start any business, you must have capital that you're putting in up front, and you're not going to be getting, a return on that capital right away.
Oh, definitely. How long did it take this guy to study the business? Was he doing that for a month? I'm guessing it's more like 1, 2, 3 years before you dip your toe in the water like that. He had to find a good location for this. 6 months, maybe. I'm not sure. It could take a while. Building a building or renovating a building. I mean, he's years into this, guys, before he's even breaking even selling some cans of peas, right?
Yep.
So all those things are very relatable to starting up your own banking business. And Nelson, as he did in every stage of this book, he saw the perfect resemblance to try and relate this to the everyday person.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, how, everything in his book does have a meaning. Like every story, it comes back to IBC, and you might not pick it up right away, but each time you read this book or read a section or whatever, you can pick up on, oh, this is what he was meaning by this.
Everything is there to reinforce a point or to make a point in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really brilliant how he wrote this book.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add before we get off here, Kyle?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we're going to keep going on this book review. We're really enjoying it, and we hope you are too. So until next time, thank you.
This was the Cash Value Solutions Podcast. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Check us out at cashvaluesolutions.com. And don't forget to tune in next week.